Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Podcast, coming to you off a beautiful Sunday in the NBA after we made a bunch of units. Let's get into it and get right into our picks for Monday's slate here, which I don't love. I'm going to be fully honest with you guys. Monday's slate is a bit less easy to traverse than this Sunday one was. Felt really good about a couple of these bets with Trae Young getting 26.5, laddered him up to 30 points as well, and got both of those bets. Needed the overtime to get both of the 30 points, but he had the 27 going into OT. He also scored 25, and Paolo did going into OT as well, so they hit their plus 104 same game parlay that we hit for them in regulation, but whatever. Steph over 5.5 assists in a awful game versus Toronto. Didn't get the 8 because this thing was over by the third quarter. They made a little bit of run in the third quarter, but not enough to where he didn't even come back in the fourth because they just ended up going down by 20 again. So he missed out on the 8. I think he would have gotten it if he played the fourth quarter at all, but he didn't. So we still made some money off of that, obviously, by him hitting the core bet. Pirtle went comfortably over 10 after he had that in the beginning of the third. And then Paolo did not get his 5th assist. He had a bunch of potential assists that ended up not being them, including one at the end. Not going to talk about it. Got it to Goga Batadze. It was a foul, whatever. 4-1 on the day. I didn't count the ladders there. I counted the units for them, but not them towards the record. But it's 4-1 or 5-2, however you look at it, plus 2.1 units on the day. Picking all Playa props on the season. Now we are back up to plus 17.1 on the player props, specifically 89 and 60 on the season, 101 and 76 with a 9.3 unit profit because the sides and totals have not treated us well. So we've stayed away from them for the most part, and we keep riding these player props up and up. But let's get into the 3 player props that I have for you guys for Monday. And as I said, not in love with this slate. There's 6 games. There's the Phoenix and Clippers game we're not going to know anything about until we get an injury report about guys like Beal and Durant. We still don't have that. We're starting to get stuff out about the Celtics and Pacers game that we don't have Jason Tatum now in that game. Props are coming out for that. KP's in, but not everybody has their lines up yet. So we're going to go with what we know here, starting with Chris Middleton as the Bucks are taking on the Jazz. And I like his rebounds and assists under, but it is possible he gets like 7 or 8 or 9 boards or something crazy. So let's go ahead and go under 7.5 assists alone at minus 107 on FanDuel. Kind of a popular bet for some people, but I'm not getting the reasoning from people that I like, and I have my own that I do like. So let me just jump into it. No Dame doesn't equal more assists for Chris Middleton. So I do think this is completely inflated. I think he's going to be looking to score a lot more because he's just really inserted into the Dame role. Like now it's really just he's a bit more of the main ball handler, because even if you have campaign in there with these guys, with Chris Middleton and Giannis and Brolo and company, you're still not going to be seeing campaign in the action. He's not going to be the one running sets with Giannis and Brolo nearly as much, maybe here and there. And maybe when it's just he and one other star on the court, he's running some sets with them in some 2-man game. But for the most part, the Bucks offense is a 2-man game based offense with predominantly Giannis and Dame, now Giannis and Chris Middleton, with Brolo mixed in there in place of one of them, because Giannis can be the ball handler or the roller. That's why they just have all these awesome little 2-man sets with shooters off of those guys, very similar to what Budenholzer did while he was the coach, obviously. So putting him in the Dame role, we've been fading Dame's assists at 7.5. We've been doing that multiples of times this season, 3 times, different times, twice against the Pacers as well, which is somewhat remnant of what's going to be in this game, but not really, because the Pacers are way better at it and play even faster than the Jazz, who are terrible on the road on defense and on offense as well. Like they're really bad on offense, especially compared to how good they are at home. But more importantly for this, like put him in that role. It doesn't mean your potential assists are going up. They're still like 9.5, 10. So like if he's at, I cannot possibly see him getting above 10 or 11 max in terms of the potential assists. So you do the math there. We love the idea of it, at best him hitting 55, 60 max % of the assists that he would, potentially get when he dishes them out. So if that's the case, we're looking at like 6, max 7. I think he ends this game at like 5, maybe 6 assists total. So I love that we get nearly even money for him to go under this. Like even last year without Dame, playing plenty of minutes, did not go over this more than 7 times in the 69 games that he played last year. So under the assist for him. Another under on the Bucks. We're going, this is so weird because we do like them to win. They haven't been playing awesome, obviously, as of late. Giannis kind of went off on the team recently and said everybody needs to do better. But I'm still going to go under points, rebounds, and assists with these inflated lines for the Bucks players. They might blow them out. And honestly, I hope they do, because that's even less likely that you'll see Brolo around in a lot of the second half if he's not really needed. And I don't think he'll be needed in this. So I'm doing 2 things here because I got 1.5 units on Brook Lopez unders. under 23.5 PRA because it's minus 130 at BetMGM. Going a unit there, and I'm laddering it to the under 22.5 PRA with on DraftKings because it's plus 114, and I love that juice. And I should have learned my lesson with the Steph ladder, where I should have just put the like 1.5 units on Steph to get the core bet at 5.5. That was way too low, and I loved it. But I'm going to go back to it here. I don't really have a good reasoning for why. I do. Plus 114 is great money for just one less, right? So it's a big line disparity between the two. I should be very clear about that. It's a big line disparity between MGM and DK. So I'm going to go ahead and feel good about the 1.5 total units on him. Under 9 of his last 10. It's a trend. I just use it. 27 of 36 this season. I'm not saying like because he hasn't done it much, he can't do it, but it's a good starting point for like, well, it's a very high line. So why is it high? Once again, because Dame is out, but I don't think Dame's usage goes anywhere near Brolo, to be honest. And because I still don't like, people like guys like Chris Middleton to necessarily be kicking out to him. If anything, Giannis might be kicking out to him on pick and pops and things of that nature, or when Giannis is running action with Chris Middleton. I can't see Brolo getting open and being available. I get that. Especially because if John Collins is guarding him, for instance, right? Because Walker Kessler's not in the starting lineup anymore, then that means he's going to shoot over him from wherever he is. He's not worried about John Collins blocking his shot from anywhere, even 3-point line or closer. So he'll have shots that he considers open. He's one of the best at just not worrying about his defender and shooting over them. Helps to be 7-1, but I still think these stats, like I said, are inflated without Dame. And in this matchup, speaking of John Collins playing in it more and Walker Kessler not, it's a big part of this. Like the games where Brolo went over in his last 2 versus Utah last season, I get that. But in those games, Walker Kessler was playing. It was later in the year. He had been inserted into the starting lineup by that point because that came in around December when they finally Will Hardy was like, I can't not start this dude. He's back out of the starting lineup because he's having a sophomore slump. Is Walker Kessler, but either way, like he's not playing that much. That's helpful here, right? And so because he's not playing that much, he's back out of the lineup now. That means that Brolo's needed less. Even if Brolo is in there a decent amount, and Walker Kessler is not, like we just established, he's around 20 minutes a game. So if he's not in there and he's guarding a John Collins on defense, well, where's John Collins playing? On the 3-point line, out in the wing, or out in the corner even at times. That's really where they have him standing. Like he left Atlanta looking for a bigger role, and honestly, he has the same fucking role out here in Utah. And so with that said, like that just pulls Brook away from the basket. He's not playing traditional centers, which is when you see him getting more rebounds to help this prop out. And so because he's not getting more rebound, because he's not standing down low nearly as much, playing not against a true center, since there isn't really going to be one on the floor nearly as often in this game, we're going under for Brolo. And the last game here, we're going to another center, but we're taking Daniel Gafford over 7.5 rebounds, minus 108 on Caesar for a full unit. Playing the Thunder, and it's really just about fading Chet's ability to rebound against bigger dudes. And Gafford is a bigger dude, maybe similar in the height range, but yeah, he's bigger than Chet. So the full unit for a guy to do what a lot of guys have done against Chet Holmgren recently, which is get at least 8 rebounds, right? They allow the most rebounds per games to centers. They're not a good rebounding team, by the way, in general. They're like the 3rd worst rebounding team overall, according to rebound percentage, the amount of rebounds that they allow their opponents as well. So the last 3 starting centers that were the last 3 centers that played at Washington, where this game is, OKC on the road. We've got Nikola Jokic. He had 10 rebounds on just 13 chances. Capella had 14 rebounds on 17 chances. And Nick Claxton had 12 rebounds on 21 rebound chances. Point being, you see where these rebound chances are for a team that shoots most of its shots as close to the basket as it can. Now, the fear with Daniel Gafford is he's going to go bananas trying to just block everybody's shots. And I get that. And he does do that, which is why as a center, you still see only a 7.5 rebound prop against the worst rebounding team against centers, right? And it's still only at 7.5 for a center. You would expect this to be 9.5, 10.5 in that range for a guy who should be a better rebounder than he is. That said, like if the shots are coming from Chet if they're not coming from Chet and they're attacking the rim, but there's plenty of mid-range in there as well. So because he's not getting boxed out, I'm not worried quite as much about him trying to just go bananas blocking everything and avoiding being able to rebound. If anything, I think he and Chet are both good to get some blocks in this game and perhaps just pick it up off of the block. That's a rebound right there. So with a high pace, with OKC not shooting as well on the road, not having nearly as fluid of an offense, we're going to go ahead and take Gafford to get his 8 boards in this one. And that's all the time I have. So let's run through what we're looking at here. Chris Middleton, under 7.5 assists. That is not plus 114. I messed that one up. I apologize. That is minus minus 107 on FanDuel for Chris Middleton. Full unit, though. Brook Lopez under 23.5 full unit on BetMGM. And then we also like 22.5 because it's plus 114 on DraftKings for 0.5 units. And Daniel Gafford, the center playing the Thunder. That's the key here. Don't worry about the name. Worry about the position against the Thunder in the situation. Over 7.5 rebounds, minus 108 on Caesar for a full unit. And like I said, that's all the time I have. Appreciate you all following along. Glad I can keep getting these videos out to you. I know this is a duty slate. I don't love it. So I am going to keep looking at things and have stuff on social media as soon as I can. I also should tell you to like and subscribe. Please do that. And I also need to tell you that Oaks is coming back with another college basketball video tonight on Monday that he's going to put out for this big Tuesday slate. Also coming back with a Friday video for Saturday slate. So that's going to be the college basketball schedule moving forward. Check the community tab. Like I said, follow on social media at Land Your Bets everywhere. It's Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Those are the key places. And Facebook, if you're on there, shout you out. So until I see you all next, happy betting.